stage, Greg Coleman.
What's up? How you guys doing? All right, you happy? You good? You happy to be here? Yeah. All right, you guys gonna be happy to be here when Trump's the president in a couple months? No? Like, he's gonna be the president. We know that, right? I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see Donald Trump become the next president of the United States of America. I'm the only one. I can't be the only one. I'm excited to see it, dude, because it's like I would just love to see a president get assassinated during my lifetime. And I'm not Donald Trump. I'm just messing around though. But a lot of people do say, if Donald Trump becomes president, I'm moving to Canada. And that sounds good in theory. Like, I like Canada. I've been to Canada like 15 times in the last year. And I'll tell you something. Canada is almost too nice. It's almost dangerous, right? Like, cause I was doing some work. It was very cold outside. So I had on winter gear. I had on a ski mask. And I had on gloves and the whole kit and caboodle. And after work, I had to go switch over some American cash to Canadian cash, right? So I'm walking down the street, walking into the bank with a ski mask on in all winter gear. And like in America, I'll get social cues that say, hey man, you look like a criminal. Don't walk into that bank, because people will not walk into the bank at the same time. But in Canada, they're just like, hey man, nice boots, right? So I was just feeling like very comfortable. So I go to the bank, and it's not until I reach into my pocket, I get a reflection of myself in the mirror, and I see a man in a ski mask and black gloves, and I scare myself. And I run out of the bank. I do, and I get down on my knees, I say, thank God I'm in Canada and not St. Louis, Missouri, right? That could have been a different situation, right? Like, I could have been on the news as another unarmed black man riddled with bullets, right? But here goes the deal. I would have accepted 2 or 3 bullets to a fleshy area, okay? Right? Because, like, I did walk into a bank with a ski mask on and gloves. Like, I look the part. If I get shot in the ass twice, I'm like, you know what? I appreciate your restraint. I've seen some of your game film. 2 is way better than 17. Like, I know that there's a lot of tension right now. And actually, when that happened, there was a protest and occupation that was going on in Minneapolis. And so that there was a lot of protesting and marching and messing up traffic was what some people like to call it. Now, I was in Canada and my buddy texted me and said, Greg, you're never gonna believe what happened when I'm walking home from the protest. This middle-aged white lady pulls her car over and asks me if I need a ride home. I said, well, that's cool. Did you take the ride? He said, hell no, I told that woman kick rocks. I said, dude, why would you do that? He said, now it's happening in our neighborhood. Now she cares about me. Now my life matters. Hell no. I said, man, if a middle-aged white lady pulls her car over to the side and asks you to get in it, you do it. I mean, that shit worked for Michael Orr. Haven't you seen The Blind Side? Like, she pulled that car over. That dude was in the NFL 4 years later. I got my own car, but ma'am, if you pull over and say hop in, I'ma screw it. I'ma do it. I'ma do that shit. I just am. I'll be on my way to success. I got a question for you. Have you ever walked into work and then turned around and walked right out of work? Because you forgot to take the weed out your bag? No? Nobody else? Yeah, that guy. Right, it happened to me. I was at work. I was in the middle of my job, right? The heartbeat of my job. I'm like, it smells like a party in here. Looked at my bag like, oh God, I'm the party. Now, Usually you can hide it, it's fine, but having weed on me at work's not a good thing because I work at an elementary school, so... Right, so I have to hustle out of there, and I'm walking to the parking lot, and there's like 5 kids following me behind me like, hey, you smell like my dad's garage. It's like, I've been to your dad's garage, little buddy. Now you think you got your back to school shoes. Yeah, no, that's what I do. I buy drugs from my students' parents. It's awesome. But no, that's my job. I work as a bouncer at an elementary school. That's pretty much my job, is to deal with other people's kids all day. And I'm not going to get up here and preach, but I will say this. If you are ever to give a kid a compliment, I understand we're supposed to build up their self-esteem and make them feel good about themselves, but some of you guys are doing way too good of a job, all right? Because kids are going to get complexes. They're going to think it's all about them. So whenever you give a kid a compliment, please end it with the words, to me in this house. All right? It's like, you're special. You're the best person ever. You're my king. You're the queen. To me in this house. Now, when you go outside, remember, you're not shit, okay? So I'm saying, just teach them to have their license and exact cash and move on. It's not always about you. Like, I had to deal with things I shouldn't have to deal with. These kids, they get, oh. All right, I'm going to tell you this. If you guys want to know who are the meanest people on the planet, hands down, 3rd grade girls. 3rd grade girls, meanest people on the planet. All right, it's 9 a.m. Little girl walks off the bus. She walks right up to me. She hands me a note, and she says, read it. So I open the note, I read it, and it says, Dear Mr. Coleman, I don't need your help. Huh. And she flips her hair and walks away looking like a tiny Serena Williams. I'm like, little girl, why are you so mad? It is 9 a.m. I know you've had breakfast. We're in Woodbury, right? Like, you shouldn't be that mad. Whatever. That note pretty much says she doesn't want to see me. She doesn't want to deal with me. That's great. That's one less kid I have to deal with all day. Problem is, this kid gets in a fight at recess, so the teacher grabs her, throws her in my office. Now we have a situation. Because the same little kid who wrote me a note at 9 a.m. that said, die, is in my office, all pissed off with all this fight energy, and she doesn't know how to channel it. So she starts shaking and looks at me and screams, this is all your fault! So she starts hitting and kicking me, right? Now, I'm not talking about like little flail hits. I'm talking about she's going Ronda Rousey. She's throwing uppercuts. She's kicking the hell out of me, kicking the hell out of my shins, right? And she had steel-toed boots on. It was 80 degrees outside. She came to school with some shit in mind. Like, where are your flip-flops? Now listen, whenever a student gets violent towards a teacher, or staff, anyone else in the building, or another student, I have training and certification that allow me to like place a child in a protective hold, right? It's safe for them, it's safe for me. But every single time I do that hold, I gotta do like 20 to 25 minutes of paperwork. I don't like paperwork. So I decided this is just an ass kicking I gotta take. So I go in the corner and I start rope-a-doping with the kid, right? Just rope-a-doping because she's still throwing haymakers. She's strong, but she doesn't have strategy. And I see she's finally getting tired because her shoulders drop and she's dragging with her right. So I do what any adult would do in this situation, right? I see that she's about to go for another kick. I pretend to put my hand out to help, and I just put my foot under her toe just a little bit. She ends up tripping, and she hits her knee on the desk on the fall down, okay? Collateral damage, it's okay. But she's on the ground screaming, Mr. Coleman, get the nurse! I need help! And then that's when I pull this note out of my pocket. Says, Dear Mr. Coleman, I don't need your help. And that's the day I told the 3rd grade girl about burning bridges. It's just something you don't want to do. Nice snort. I'm gonna ask this question, then I'm gonna get out of here. All right. Are you a dinner or are you a supper person? Dinner or supper? You lying, you supper. You thought about it way too long. You thought about it way too long. You still seem like a good guy, but there's some supper people in here. Like, I'm not a fan of supper. I don't like supper at all. Because supper is just, it seems too formal, right? Because people who have supper, they eat at like 5:45. They always have a tall glass of milk with their dinner. That doesn't mix. That's oil and water. Milk is for cereal and cookies, not for steak and potatoes. And it's just not the type of people I want in my life. Like, I hate supper, and I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Jesus didn't like supper either, okay? That dude, he had one supper, and he was like, this is the last one of these I will ever do. Don't ever invite me to eat at 5:45 again. The resurrection wasn't Jesus being gone for 3 days. That was just him dodging out on his friends and getting out of supper plans. Thank you guys very much, Acme. Y'all have a good night.